telephone here. So if you see me looking down, I'm just looking for questions and so forth and so on. So it's all good. So Dr. V, this starts November 28th, which is next week.
7 days.
In
7 days.
7 days. All right. I was going to count in French. I don't know if I should have. Yeah, set. There you go. And
I'm like, I would have had to count too.
you know, so I was thinking about that. But we're going to have, you know, you're going to have this free online summit. And, you know, just for everybody who didn't catch the first podcast, Dr. V is a pharmacist. She's a doctor of pharmacy, concierge pharmacist with guided holistic health. Oh, it's not on your thing today, but that's okay.
I changed my background and stuff.
And so she focuses on educating and empowering moms, all right, which is very important. She creates a healthcare plan that's very unique. And so starting Monday, there's a free online summit, Mom, No Coffee Needed. Remedies are going to be revealed to supercharge vitality, serenity. I try to put those two words together, it didn't work out. And well-being to unleash a healthier you. There is a link right now that you could sign up for. So please sign up for that. And now that I'm talking, I have somebody that I'm going to introduce you to that I think you guys could. Yeah, I see. I'm always thinking. So I'm going to reach out to this individual and let's see if we can make a connection here. So without revealing everything, I mean, who is the program for specifically?
Okay. So specifically, just looking at moms, we pour and pour and we pour and pour all of ourselves into our families and into our kids, so much so that it starts damaging us. We start feeling depleted of energy. Our anxiety goes through the roof. We might start developing other health conditions, high blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar issues. So it's for these moms who are feeling so depleted that they are ready to shift that back, bring more balance to their life. So that way they're pouring into themselves as well as their family, and nobody's suffering. Everybody is on an even keel and thriving in this crazy, crazy world.
Right. Now, when you're like this, sometimes you don't feel as if there's a lot of hope, right? You don't feel like there's a lot of hope. You don't feel like there's any answers and so forth. Talk about that, because there are answers, right? There's always answers. As my father used to say, you have options in life.
So some of us, we go to the doctor and we say, okay, doc, I am just feeling in pain all the time, or I'm feeling tired all the time. They run some tests and they say, you're within normal limits, and they send you on your way. You know, get some sleep, figure it out on your own. They're not walking you through. They're not trying to uncover what else is going on. They're not even listening to you half the time. And then who do you turn to? Dr. Google. So then you type in your symptoms, and what do you find out? Now you have cancer, or you have this other incurable disease. And so what I've created here is a whole amazing high quality buffet of holistic options. So we're not looking at doctors in the traditional sense. We're using a different approach. We're looking at what's the underlying cause. So what is causing my blood sugar to spike at crazy times? What is causing this anxiety that I just can't fall asleep anymore because my mind is just going crazy?
Right. And that's important, because what happens is that if you don't feel like you have hope, you kind of spiral downward even further. And this is where my friend comes in. This is going to be exciting. I'm very excited about this. And what happens is that if you have no hope, and if there's nothing that you're thinking about that's going to make this better, and if you can't figure it out, it just becomes worse and worse. And we all get into what we used to call back in the 70s. That's how old I am. You get into that rut, right? And you can't get out of that rut at all. And now you need a little help. You need a little help from your friends, right, to get out. I remember that song, by the way. So you need a little help from your friends, and this is where, in part, you come in. So what are some of the remedies that you're going to discuss?
So yeah, when you're stuck in this rut, sometimes you just get deeper and deeper and deeper into it, and you're just like, there's no chance for changing anything else. How do I shift? Everybody's got these great plans, these nutrition plans, but they're not realistic. Everybody's got these different exercise plans, but they're not realistic. It's like, how can I do it as a mom? So
Right.
I am a mom. I'm a mom of 3 kids, all under 10. So I've
You're all going to be
building
teenagers
crazy
at the same time playing hockey, Dr. V.
not looking at that, but
That's the
um,
number I told you times 3. There goes somebody's entire salary for the year. So anyway,
but yes, so I have experience. So this is like a true mom talking, not just some, sorry, no offense, Dr. Dan, but crotchety old man just sitting on their high shelf going, you know, do this, do this, do this, and it's not realistic. So we have sleep regimens. We have a dentist actually talking about, you know, proper sleep and how that's affecting your oral health and how that actually impacts blood pressure and diabetes. We have nutritionists who are really going to break it down into, okay, how you can structure your health and your shopping when you're doing grocery shopping and making it simple, things that are small steps that you can incorporate into your day, super easy. I've got somebody with yoga who is helping us with our breathing and helping us just relax and de-stress, where we can do it anywhere. It doesn't have to be a 30-minute yoga session where we're trying to stop our thoughts from zooming across our mind. I've got, oh wow, I'm trying to think. I've got everybody. So I've got beauty and skin, just simple routines to help us stay looking young and beautiful and confident in our own body. So I've got a whole bunch of awesome, really high quality experts who are all about little things that you can put in your day that are not going to cost a lot of money, that are not going to take a lot of time, and do not require a physics degree or a biology degree to even figure out.
Right. So I wrote down 2 words, small steps. So small steps, gaining momentum when you're doing this, because a lot of times individuals, they want to change their lives and they go really all out. And when they go all out, they get burnt out at one point in time, especially if they don't see the results. So a mom could be taking care of, you know, there was a commercial back in the 70s in frying up the bacon, taking home the bacon and stuff like that. And for those of you who are old crotchety men like me, who remember that, but you know, you're pushing yourself, you're type A personality, and you don't get the results within 2 or 3 days. What it doesn't take 2 or 3 days to get results after you have decades of doing something a certain way. Words were escaping me then, and my son will tell you that never happens to my dad. So you know,
when you're stuck in a rut, if it took you 30 years to get in that rut, it can't take you 3 days to get out of that rut.
Right. It's going to take you some time. It's going to take you some training. It's going to take you some stuff, if you will. So at that particular juncture, we have to figure out what is going on and helping individuals out. Now, my talk is on food, right, and gut when it comes to stress and so forth. You just have to look at what is your diet going to be like and what you should be eating, what you should be avoiding and stuff like that, because it's important, right, to figure out what is going on when you're trying to figure out something to eat. And it takes time, because to break old habits, you know, you definitely need that momentum and so forth. And I think that this is going to be a great program. I know it's going to be a great program for females. So tell me, give me some of the actionable steps of what's going on when you're doing this. Tell me, what are we going to learn?
So some of the amazing actionable steps, I'm trying to think, can't give too much away here. So
we don't want to give too much away, but what,
no,
I mean, give us a couple of few things.
There's some teasers. There's some good teasers. So just knowing that you can do it, like having that mindset shift is part of it. And so I do have a couple people speaking specifically on how do we make that change? How do we create goals and prioritize ourselves? So how do we make that shift? But then the language we're using really impacts it. And so changing our language,
what we tell ourselves is important, right?
Exactly.
because it becomes very important, right?
It
And
does.
if you don't have that language change, you gotta have that, you gotta have a different language. You can't sit there and say, I can't anymore. And what does that look like for people, right?
Yeah. It looks like change. Just I can't is maybe I can't yet. Even just adding that yet makes it into the future. That okay, in this moment.
Keep talking. My
This
son has
is
called me
opportunity.
3 times. This is what happens when there's lives.
But yeah, so maybe I can't yet, but I can in the future. So figuring that out and knowing that this is a community. This is not just you doing this on your own, that there's a support system and you can use your children as support. That you can make a game out of, if I say I can't, or you say I can't, let's change it. Change it to I can't
You
yet.
got to be able to change that 100%, because if you don't change it, it becomes a problem. No doubt about it. 100%. So I'll talk a little bit about what I talked about. Listen, we got to, when you're eating and you're stressed, you always go for the bad foods. So we want to make sure that you eat the good foods, because going for the bad foods all the time, those are processed foods, ultra processed foods. You're going for things that sugar, salt, all of that stuff, those highly addictive foods that are readily available all over the place. We want to make sure that when you're eating something appropriate for yourself, that's unique to your biochemistry. And how do we do that? Oh, you got to sign in. You got to sign in to see exactly what that's like, because it's extremely important, And you know what? When you're stressed, you learn from mom and dad and stuff like that, brothers and sisters. People tell me all the time, oh, we got diabetes, or you got, whatever in your health history, which genetics is always important. Genetics holds the gun, lifestyle pulls that trigger, and, take a look in your cupboard. Is it the same foods that you grew up with, right? So are you eating those sugary cakes and stuff like that you were accustomed to? And when it was a stressful time, did you, parents sit down and have a cup of coffee, a little milk, a little sugar, they're smoking a cigarette, they got a little cakey thing going on, they're sitting around the table. That's the way it was done back then, but that may not be the best way. That throws off your biochemistry, that throws everything off. All right, that's all I'm going to say. You want more? Go and sign up. Tune in. All right. So it starts next Monday, right, Dr. V? And how long does it go for? How long does it go for?
So I've got these amazing interviews coming to you for 21 days. So it is going to come from November 28th to December 19th. And these are short. They're 30 minutes at the max. And you can listen to them or you can watch them. So I have a portable version that you can just do the audio, and while you're walking your kids to school, while you're loading the dishwasher, you can listen to me or you can watch. But either way, we've made it super accessible. They're short, easy clips, and they have tons packed of action steps in them. So it's not just us yammering on about, the science, but science plus what you can do about it.
I get that. You know what? And I think I spoke for a little bit longer than 30 minutes. Shocker. So there is, okay, a link. I'm going to put it in the comments, so you'll have 2 areas to get it. Please sign up. All right. And if you haven't signed up by Friday, all right, we may have to come back here on Friday and make sure you guys are signing up the day after Thanksgiving. It'll be a Black Friday podcast that we're going to do. I like that.
Our Black Friday special. Yeah.
Our Black Friday special podcast. So everybody, seriously, we're goofing around, but this is something that's important. Stressful time. The holidays could be stressful. New Year's is always stressful. Cooking and families coming over, and all sorts of things. It just throws different parameters into the mix and all of that sort of good stuff. So for all of you, sign up. And if you're a guy and if you want to just listen in too, there's actionable steps for all of you too. You understand what your wife is going through, your significant other, what they're going through, and maybe you can see yourself in some of this also, so that maybe you can get some actionable steps and you make the marriage better. You make it a home team. So, ooh,
Be a joint effort. Yes.
it's
Keep
a
yourselves
joint
accountable.
effort. That's right. And today, if you're not a joint effort, it's very difficult. As such, please sign up. The link is in the show notes. The link will be in the comments section. You'll find this all over all my social media. So I'm going to send it to Dr. V so you could take a look at her pages and stuff. So Dr. V, thank you very much for being here. Let's see if we can come back Friday. If we don't eat too much turkey and we're just like, sleeping in bed with the turkey comatose, right? With all of those. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you, Dr. V, for coming on. Join in, please. Please join in. Actionable steps. We'll see everybody more than likely on Friday. Take care now.
Thank you, everybody.